Dear guests, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen.
It is a great honor for me to take the floor before such a distinguished audience, and I'm very pleased to be involved in this fifth forum. Moscow is invited to the forum as a guest for the first time, when 5 years ago we understood that to be competitive in order to guarantee technology progress and social progress to our citizens, we understood that we have to use the best practices as developed internationally so as to learn the best experiences, so as to better organize our city. We never wondered whether we should develop or not develop the relationship between regions or between countries. This has never been the issue because Moscow, looking at the economic and financial indexes, is pretty similar to countries such as Austria, Finland, the Czech Republic. And this makes it mandatory for us to follow the development of interregional relationships. Because probably the most important task of the administration of a city as big as Moscow is that of granting stability, economic stability, social stability, creating the most suitable environment for entrepreneurs, allowing citizens to grow, because only in Moscow there are over 1.5 million schoolgoers and a lot of university students, which may very well explain that we have to follow international rules. Over the past 5 years, we have further fostered our relationships with our foreign partners. And there are some slides that I wish to share with you on the subject. At the present, we enjoy relationships with over 200 countries in real time. Indeed, we communicate and are in touch with the top 150 cities worldwide and the top regions worldwide. In Asia, for example, we hold relations with Ankara, Istanbul, cities that are dynamic and large, such as Shanghai and Beijing, and then the new financial centers such as Mumbai and Singapore. Recently, we established ties also with the city of Tehran, and we also started a technology partnership. Our project partners are Tokyo and Hanoi. In Europe, we have partnership relationships with Budapest, Vienna, Dublin, Munich, and whole regions in Germany, and then Paris in France, Barcelona in Spain, and so on and so forth. And within the independent state community, we hold a relationship with Astana, Baku, Bishkek, Erevan, Minsk, and in North and South America, we still have relationships with Houston, for example, despite the present situation, and even with the city of New York, we have established a new era of relationship with Canada partners, especially from Quebec. We hold relationship with Mexico, Argentina, and we also work at federal level because the delegates from Moscow are involved in the federal meetings, and we're also involved in over 30 committees, federal committees. We cooperate with Finland, Israel. We cooperate economically with these countries, and thanks to these committees, we can solve very swiftly any upcoming problem. Let me grasp this opportunity to provide you with some info concerning Moscow, because I believe that the region of Moscow is extremely attractive, and it is one that contributes importantly to the growth of the country. Moscow can be considered as very attractive for investors. Indeed, towards Moscow, there are a lot of flows of foreign trade. There is 88% of the headquarters of the most important foreign banks and companies. And this enables us to create the right environment. We made a lot of efforts, and such effort has gone unnoticed as ranking proves. The World Bank, for example, over the past few years has improved the stance of Moscow. We rank 51st, and we believe that this ranking perhaps is not thoroughly reliable, though we mean indeed to be included amongst the first top 20 cities worldwide. Now, with reference to the rating in terms of social security, we rank 14, and Moscow is recognized and acknowledged as an important cultural center. We are very proud that in our city we have the largest number of museums, theaters, for which, again, is a great potential to develop further relations internationally at a cultural level. And as of late, the PricewaterhouseCoopers ranked Moscow among the most dynamic cities worldwide, and we have overtaken Dublin, another important journal, Foreign Direct Investment, published by the Financial Times. Has awarded a city a very important prize, as Moscow was recognized as the city which is developing in a sustainable way, considering all the other cities in the East. Indeed, we are outdoing many of the European cities. And now, in terms of capital and human potential and democracy and the comfort granted to citizens. Now, talking about demography, I should also add that over the past decade, we've been in the red zone because the death rate was higher than the number of births. But over the past few years, restructuring healthcare, our government succeeded in extended life expectancy, as the national average is now exactly the same as the European life expectancy. And for the first time, the birth rate has exceeded that of deaths. Let me just refer to other parameters. Major efforts where we invested in the development of transport infrastructure, and I must say that Moscow ranks first worldwide for traffic jams, but because of the efforts that undertaken, the city has become much more fluent, traffic has become much more fluid, and traffic jams have been reduced importantly. To this end, we developed new roads and new parking areas, and we have strengthened the role of public transport. A conference was held in Leipzig, and we there were awarded the first prize for the development of our transport system. And this has been an important recognition of our efforts. Now, considering again transport, we devote a great attention to programs such as that of smart cities, secure cities. We try and improve the access of citizens to the bureaucracy, to the administration of the city. Last year in Dubai, we've been awarded a prize for the app for smartphone for active citizenship. And as a matter of fact, many citizens in Russia, thanks to these apps and software, are involved into the administration of the cities. Let's quote a few new figures that might be of interest for you to understand what is the situation in Moscow. Moscow should be considered as one of the most dynamic markets, both in terms of fixed access investments, as we have reached some 24 billion per year. Over the past 5 years, investments have been growing by some 5%, and over the past 5 years in Moscow, over 400 kilometers of new highways have been built, more than 100 solutions. 44 kilometers for the underground have been built, and over 20 stations have been built for underground. And in the near future, i.e. by 2025, we anticipated that an additional 200 kilometers of underground will be built, with over 18 stations being built, especially in the areas surrounding Moscow, the so-called new Moscow. In September, the mayor has developed some kind of an American subway, i.e. a light railway, and I must say that transport has been enhanced in an incredible way, even better than it was the case with the Soviets. Our budget is of some 30 billion euro. And year on year, we invest in social infrastructures for a total amount of some 10 billion euro. Thanks to that, over the past few years, we succeeded in developing 45 million square meters of real estate. We reconstructed a lot of public areas and roads, parks, gardens. For those who haven't visited Moscow over the last 2-3 years, well, you should come back, because you wouldn't recognize it. The center of Moscow has changed dramatically. Today, Moscow is the European leader in terms of the development of pedestrian areas, and the inhabitants of Moscow can now walk the city, and there are 110 roads and alleys that are, again, totally devoted to pedestrians. This project was criticized in the past by many, because they anticipated that problems could ensue after the closing down certain areas to car traffic. But as a matter of fact, what happens is that it was extremely successful and greatly appreciated. We see a growing number of bars and restaurants, and the city has changed dramatically and has become much more comfortable and easy to live with for its citizens. Let me talk now briefly about the relationship with our foreign partners, first and foremost with Italy. I must say that traditionally, Italy has always been one of the top 5 largest partners for Moscow, with the turnover for trade between Italian companies and Italian and Russian companies that is as high as 7 billion euro. And Italy ranks 4th in the list of suppliers. We've entered into cooperation project with the city of Rome, with the municipality of Rome. Indeed, there's an agreement for cooperation also with the city of Milan. And recently, we've signed another agreement for a 3-year program with the city of Genoa, whereas next year we shall sign a cooperation project with the Veneto region. And what are the results of all this cooperation? Well, we have to say that there's a strong exchange of experience at expert level. Let me now quote a few examples of the advantage that Moscow has drawn from cooperating with Italy. One of the largest project now underway in the city of Moscow has to do with the reconstruction of the Dynamo Stadium. And the building of a mall and hotel next to the stadium. And this project has been developed with the following motto: made by Italy, thanks to the support of Codes International and Saatchi. An investment higher than 12 billion euro has been made available for this. And we believe that this is one of the projects that may be considered as symbols of the World Soccer Championship that is now imminent. Another important project has to do with the involvement of Italian companies in development of the scientific park, to the development of a new network of clinics and hospitals. And then there is another important project, perhaps one of the most interesting. When we signed the agreement with Milan, we signed also a care sharing project that has been presented to us by the mayor Pisapia. So we liked it so much that the next year the first batch of cars for car sharing was offered to the Moscow citizens. Over the next 2 years, the company managing this project is going to increase the number of cars up to 5,000 cars. Now, statistically, Moscow has over 50,000 cars used as taxis. So a few thousand more, the 5,000 cars in car sharing, are going to improve the situation as for traffic.